Hello, this is Zahir Alum. Welcome you on Frankly Speaking. Today we have the privilege of welcoming Ariana Childs Graham to our program. Ariana Childs Graham is a dedicated advocate and leader in the field of global road safety programs, serving as the program director of Global Health Advocacy Incubator, GHAI, based on Washington. This organization is dedicated for numerous programs in Bangladesh, China, Ecuador, India, Mexico, Uganda, Ukraine, Vietnam, related to road safety and many other programs. With decades of experience, Ariana has been at the forefront of addressing some of the most pressing global health challenges, working closely with civil society, advocates, and policymakers. We are very honored to have Ariana Childs Graham to join us today, sharing her insights and expertise on global road safety and public health advocacy, especially in Bangladesh. We all know that road crashes as one of the major causes of deaths and injuries in Bangladesh and a major burden in health and economy of our country. So let's welcome Ms. Ariana Graham on Frankly Speaking. Welcome on Frankly Speaking.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
First of all, let us enlighten us about the Global Health Advocacy Incubator, what it does, and how this organization is supporting Bangladesh.
Sure. Well, the Global Health Advocacy Incubator, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. We've been working with civil society and government partners who are trying to advance evidence-based public policies that address critical issues of public health. So looking at drowning prevention, advancing food policies that impact the health and well-being of populations, strengthening health systems, basically responding to whatever the needs and priorities are of the population in that country. We show up as collaborators to help pass those policies.
So in this particular visit, what are the objectives, what are the major goals you are eyeing at?
Sure. Well, here I'm visiting and joined the planning workshop for the Road Safety Coalition of Bangladesh, which has been working together for a number of years to advance policies that will impact and decrease death and injury related to road crashes.
So advancing, when you were talking about the advancing policies, what are the current policies you see that need to be addressed or improved in the coming days?
Well, luckily there's already a foundation to build on around the Road Transport Act in 2018 that did focus more within the transport sector. It had a little bit more of a narrow focus, and there's already a high-level political commitment from the ruling government to take a more comprehensive approach to road safety. The Road Safety Coalition is working with government partners in a drafting committee has been formed for that comprehensive road safety legislation.
What are the issues you find in the Road Transport Act in 2018 lacks or having deficiencies to translate the goals you are envisioning?
I don't know that I would say that it lacks something. I think it has a particular focus on which it can be expanded upon. The more comprehensive road safety legislation that is currently being elaborated focuses on looking at some of the pictures and pieces in the picture and how they work together. So what we call behavioral risk factors. So looking at ways that people in their behaviors on the road can be safer and safer for the other road users, such as wearing a seatbelt or a helmet when you're on a motorcycle or two-wheeled vehicle, child restraint systems, rules and regulations around drink driving and how that can make roads less safe. So those are sort of one component. Another piece is looking at infrastructure. So this comprehensive legislation also takes into consideration how roads are built and designed, how pedestrians move along roads, as well as cars and trucks and buses and other vehicles. And then another component within the comprehensive legislation is looking at vehicle standards and safety features like automatic braking systems.
So how
anti-lock braking systems.
So how these components can be galvanized, can be integrated? What are the tools? What are the measures? Is that only the a comprehensive road transport or comprehensive law can serve the purpose what you are talking about?
Sure. So, legislation is a starting point, right? It expresses a commitment, it presents a vision of what to work towards. And then for that to have a kind of impact, you have to then look at how that's applied. So that opens the doorway to things like the implementing rules and regulations. Then that may give way to standards for helmets. What does a helmet need to, how does it need to be built? What are the safety features? So it really opens a doorway to more action plans, but also those action plans result in real impact for people's lives.
But the components you're talking about is not very new, is not very unique, because when we were talking about the road safety, these are very inevitable part of having a safe road. But the problem is about the implementation, execution. So what do you think? Is that only the problem is that we don't have any comprehensive law, or it is something that we have big problem with the sense of, the greater urgency of implementing all those components, what you have just mentioned?
Sure, and I think it's more about having a greater impact as opposed to looking at things that are not working. And so part of it is about implementation, but part of it is also about creating a sense of shared ownership. So there's already incredible leadership within the Ministry of Transport, but looking at the role that other ministries can play as well. So there's some kind of cross-cutting and shared ownership as well. And then coordination. All of, a really good plan may look nice, but unless there's a way of dividing the work up and having a way of how that can operate. So I think that's also taken into consideration here. How do all these pieces fit together rather than looking at them as individual pieces operating on their own?
What are the as we don't have the comprehensive law right now, but we're in the process of having one. But for not having one, what are the casualties? What are the problem we are suffering in terms of economy, or in terms of casualty? How do you highlight all those the sufferings for not having the comprehensive law in our country?
Sure. So road safety is all about preventing death and injury related to road crashes. So we have to take into consideration who are all of the users that are on the road, whether it's pedestrians, people on bicycles, on buses, and how they're all interacting with each other. Of course, we want to prevent death. We also have to take into consideration the impact of injuries on families, and that may have economic implications for families as well as impacting their health and well-being.
Is there any plan from the Global Health Advocacy Incubator supporting the partners or the government for supporting the people, who are the extreme sufferer caused by the road accidents in our country?
Well, I should also mention that the Global Health Advocacy Incubator is part of a partner within a larger collaborative called the Bloomberg Initiative for Global Road Safety, and we get to work together with a lot of really great partners who also care about and want to support advancing road safety in Bangladesh, like the World Health Organization, the World Bank, and many others. And so, we bring sort of one contribution to the table among a set of many different contributions.
Okay. Ms. Ariana, as you were focusing on the road safety in Bangladesh, we know that some other international organizations, UN has a very strong plan on for the safe roads, and some SDG goals are also there. So how road safety is critically important on meeting all those goals which has been mentioned in SDGs or UN Global Plan? And also, what do you see in Bangladesh's government's plan? You said there is a commitment from the ruling party, but do you see there enough goodwill to move forward with enacting a new comprehensive law related to road safety in Bangladesh?
Sure. So I think the benefit of having something like the Sustainable Development Goals is it allows a look at what is happening in all of the countries. So it's rather than setting some sort of arbitrary standards, really take into consideration what is happening within each country. the Sustainable Development Goals does focus on reducing death related to road crashes. And it's an opportunity to create momentum, to create a target to work towards. So I think that helps to spur action to ultimately, a global goal is important, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. It then should translate and can translate to action at the national level in terms of strengthening the legal frameworks to help achieve those goals.
Have you met with our policymakers to discuss these issues related to road safety?
We have met with the policymakers, but through the Road Safety Coalition of Bangladesh. They're really the drivers on behalf of civil society and working with government. What we've seen is that there is broad support within government to make further progress on protecting road safety, protecting vulnerable road users. And we're seeing, not only a commitment, but then action taken to express that commitment as well.
You emphasized on the behavioral pattern of the pedestrians, road users, but there are also other issues have been also mentioned, or we know about that. But what are the leading deficiency in stand against of road safety in Bangladesh, in your view? Is there something related to engineering design or enforcement of the law or pedestrian behavior or the vehicles problem? What are in your view, how do you see?
Sure. I think when there is a situation as critical as people dying and being injured because of going about their daily activities, going to school, going to work, it's natural to want to think of what's the cause, what is the one cause,
yes.
Or the major cause. And really in the context of road safety, we have to think of it from a systems approach. All of these pieces are working together. The design of the roads.
There is no single contributing factor.
There is no single contributing factor. As much as we might like to, assign blame or point our fingers at the one thing that's going to make a difference, if we're not, if we only look at one piece of the system, it's not going to have the impact that we want it to have. We have to think of how all of those pieces in the system are working together. So that's why it's important to look at behavioral risk factors, vehicle standards, infrastructure, a number of different pieces and how they're really working together.
About the awareness campaign of the drivers, the highway drivers, how important is that?
I think that is critically important. Communication and raising awareness among the public and different populations, whether it's pedestrians or drivers, that is a really critical component because you can have a standard set, an expectation around those behaviors, and you can enforce for that. So in training and engaging police to enforce that on the roads. But you also need people to understand those standards and behaviors and to be taking responsibility for that as well. So that it all works together.
There are a lot of concern about the standards of our authorities, who is responsible for taking care of the vehicle standards. The efficiency or the corruption is one of the major causes in the organizations who are responsible for maintaining all this. Is there anything you look after, you see through your coalition in Bangladesh?
I think it's important to have a clear focus and sense of what is the objective that you're trying to achieve and who are the champions that will help to create momentum and create the systems and policies in place that will allow you to achieve that objective.
Okay, so what do you expect that when you are talking about a comprehensive law is critically needed to achieve all those goals or targets you have set? What is your expectation? The government has commitment. They have accommodated in their election manifesto. They are moving forward as we're expecting. But what is how you foresee how the fight is to have to see a new law will be enacted?
I think it's very promising. Not only is there that high-level political commitment and then action happening across different government actors, there are a lot of champions on the sidelines that are collaborators, we'll call them, folks who are available to offer their expertise and assistance and encouragement. And so I think it's really a collective effort, people bringing different contributions to the table, whether it's technical expertise around speed limits or other aspects as well. So as I mentioned earlier, some of the partners within the Bloomberg Initiative for Global Road Safety, each different player is bringing a different contribution. And I think that's really what makes progress happen, is when it's not someone out there acting alone, but really it's a collective effort.
As you are responsible for Bangladesh and many other countries in the world, how do you see the other countries' situation related to road safety, like India or Vietnam, or our neighboring countries? How much progress they have made regarding this?
Sure. Each country context is different.
Yeah.
Even though we look at evidence-based best practice, which gives us really helpful guidance and information to go by, that is one component. We have to think of what is the context in that country, what are the needs and priorities, and that really helps to define what is the pathway forward.
What is, the urgent need? Is that the goodwill or enough resource to see a safe road, to see a safe highway, to save lives in Bangladesh?
Goodwill, having resources, I think being willing to actually hear from populations, from communities about what their needs are, looking at the data. The Global Status Report on Road Safety that WHO produces in partnership with governments was just released last December, and it provides the most recent data about the impacts globally, looking at trends, but also at individual countries as well. So there are a lot of tools and resources that we need to have available, and it's up to us to actually use them to help inform the decisions that are being made.
As you are supporting the coalitions, different organizations are looking after different components. Their expertise are diverse, unique. So, how do you see their capacity, their strength, or some weaknesses? The way they are dealing with the critical issues in Bangladesh. So, what you are expecting from the partners in Bangladesh, especially the government?
Well, I have a special appreciation for coalitions. I think that the most impactful way to drive progress is to do it in partnership with others. The Road Safety Coalition of Bangladesh is a really dynamic and strong group of different civil society and government partners that are working together. And I think it's really important not to look only for consensus. You don't want everyone who says the same thing or only wants the same thing. Clearly, you want a coalition who is working together towards the same objectives. But what we're seeing with the Road Safety Coalition of Bangladesh is a really dynamic group of actors who are asking each other hard questions so that they can make sure that they're finding the best solutions.
Okay. But coming back to the global perspective, from the risk factors, what is in your view which contributes adversely in making the road more dangerous and jeopardize the safety of the people?
Sure. As we said before, there's no single factor that has the most impact, but we are seeing across many countries that motorcycles are becoming what we're considering a crisis.
In our country also.
Well, it really varies from country to country in terms of what the specific situation is, but what we're seeing across many different country contexts is a significant increase in ridership, so more motorcycles are on the road. In some countries, we're seeing a really dynamic shift from motorcycles
and contributing alarmingly deaths and injuries.
Contributing alarmingly to death and injury. And there are a number of factors that are behind that. Clearly things like helmet use and laws around that, even drink driving has a significant impact around preventing death and injury related to crashes of motorcycles. And it's important to remember as well that it's not just the motorcycle rider or even the passenger who's at risk, but other users on the road, particularly vulnerable road users.
So what do you expect from your partners working in Bangladesh more to effectively steer through this goal to be achieved? What is your expectation?
Well, the first step is to better understand and define what the problem is. And that's something that we're doing across many different country contexts. You can't take action and go straight to a solution without actually knowing what the challenges are. So that's the first step of what we're doing. And we're taking a closer look at what are the existing policy solutions that are already in place or already in progress that are seeking to address the motorcycle crisis. And then what are the things that folks haven't thought about? Some of the early analysis that we're finding is things like looking at easy financing, which is really outside of the sort of the transport sector.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that an unregulated financing, which makes it very easy to purchase motorcycles, is something that we need to look more closely at, as well as other economic factors like how motorcycles are being used for commerce or transport and taxis.
What do you see? Your actions, does it pay off?
I would say that our actions, meaning not just mine or even global health advocacy incubators, but really all of the partners that we work with, absolutely pays off.
Well, if we do not make significant progress, what will be the potential consequences for the people, especially for the countries like Bangladesh?
Sure.
How do you see that?
I think when we're talking about sort of these big issues and we're talking about sort of the big impacts, it's really easy to forget the human side of this and that this is impacting the lives of individuals, families, and communities. And so when death and injury occurs, these can have devastating consequences.
It's a huge collateral consequences.
Absolutely.
In countries like Bangladesh. So, we are almost at the end of our program. So, apart from your responsibility related to road safety, what are the other areas you are really interested in to move on in the coming days?
Just really believe in the power of public policy, that we know that when we're looking at critical issues that are impacting the lives of families and communities, that public policy has a way of impacting at the population level. So really feel passionate about what that can do to deliver change.
Do you believe in the capacity of the people or government and the partners in Bangladesh?
Absolutely. And nothing happens with only the civil society or only government. Really what we're seeing is civil society stepping up to help the government achieve their objectives to impact road safety.
One more, not the last question, but one of the important thing came in my mind, that space of civil society has been shrinking in somehow or other in many countries. Bangladesh is not an exception to this. So what do you think that on the critical public policy matters, do you think the civil society really can contribute effectively in the issues like road safety or any other public issues, public interest issues?
Civil society brings a really critical contribution, and as I said before, it's really that partnership and working with government. Civil society is a really important broker to different communities and populations.
Do the government pay enough attention to them?
To civil society?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing some really great partnerships that are bringing great results.
So, do you think that it is important to strengthen the voice of civil society in Bangladesh?
I think civil society is already very strong and brings
already
a lot of
strong?
skills. I think that they're going to continue to have an impact and be a valuable player.
What are the new commitments from GHAI?
The new commitments for the coalition and road safety in Bangladesh, our commitment is to continue to be a collaborator. I think it's important to have a direction that you're working towards and have a plan for how to get there. But we know that all of this work is happening in a really dynamic environment, and circumstances change, contexts change. And so our commitment is to continue to walk alongside our partners here as the context evolves, as plans evolve, and to be right there with them.
How long the support will be continuing?
That's a great question. And one that we hope that it continues for a good time further.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us and share insight about the road safety and the coming measures which you have been expecting to be enforced or to be undertaken. Thank you so much, Ariana.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, dear viewers. After the conversation, we understand that strong policy support is necessary, strong legal framework is necessary, is critically needed for our country, which we lack dedicated legislation so far that will comprehensively can address the road safety measures in our country. We have found that our government has commitment, they have goodwill, they have taken initiatives, but it's yet to be seen. So all the stakeholders, including the Global Health Advocacy Incubator Program Director, everybody, the coalition partners, the policymakers, common people, we all are expecting that a comprehensive policy, comprehensive legal framework will be framed, and that will contribute to lessen, to reduce the increase the road safety and reduce the deaths and injuries related to road accidents in our country, which is still very high risk areas of death and injuries in our country. So thank you very much. Let's work on this all together. And thank you for watching this program. And we invite you to watch our next episode. Until then, to take care. Thank you very much.